What's going on, guys? It's Picsoleated, and today we are looking at a pair of shoes that released a little further back, but we're not just reviewing them, we're going to be investigating if they've made it out the woodworks alive and thriving, or they're sinking and diving. In other words, did they stand the test of time? Are they still relevant? Have they cemented themselves in the history of sneaker collabs, or were they just a flash in the pan? But most importantly, we want to figure out if it was actually a good shoe to wear, not just admire. The shoe we're interrogating today is the Nike X Fear of God Raid in the light bone colorway. Created by now acclaimed streetwear designer Jerry Lorenzo, who is also the creator of Fear of God. The Fear of God raids were a true anomaly in Nike's typical sneaker offerings. The Fear of God raid released in April 27, 2019, just a few months ago, but the Nike Fear of God sneakers were all truly unique because this was the first time Nike allowed a collaborator to create their own shoe entirely, rather than modify a previous shoe or limit the creative freedom given to the collaborator. They just said, take this and make what you want to make, and hence we have the Fear of God ones, the Fear of God shoot-arounds, and more recently the Fear of God raids. To be fair, the raids are actually inspired by the original Nike Air Raid silhouette from 1993, so to say they're their own brand new design might be a little unfair. However, look at the shoe, you can see that it really is like 95% of its own shoe, while the straps are the main thing that's a direct takeaway from the 93 raids. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm covering this shoe so late after release, it's because I just happened to buy them recently. They're going for very decent prices right now. I'll leave a link in the description for you to get them if you really want them, and honestly, it took a while for them to grow on me. Now, before we analyze this shoe and get into all the nitty-gritty, the Fog Raids are a very premium shoe with a ton of great detail, so let's get into the materials real quick. The upper of this shoe quite obviously has a lot going on. It's made of a multitude of materials and houses so many different features that it might confuse you at first glance, but don't worry, we'll get into all of that. The back half of the sneaker is made primarily of this plush, tumbled, soft, premium leather in light bone. Then we have this all black swoosh that feels and looks like quality nubuck. On the front half of the shoe, the toe cap area of the toe box is made of a very plush nubuck in light bone. And in a turn of events, the top of the toe box is made of this soft, more breathable nylon type fabric with these bell curve style stitching details reminding me of the nightmarish university days. And this cross stitch connecting the toe box to the toe cap panel going all around. We have the attention grabbing elastic straps crossing all over the upper of this shoe, and man, don't they just make these look difficult to get into. Well, you get used to it. Kind of. Now, if you unfasten these Velcro straps, which you can pull off all the way until the end, I'm not sure why you do that, but you get a good look at the lacing system on this shoe, including these rugged thick rope laces that have a lace toggle at the end with Fear of God branding on it. Very nice touch. The shoes also come with an extra set of white rope laces, and it's a very simple system with probably the least lace holes I've seen on a Nike shoe with lace holes. But what the coolest part to me is that it exposes the tongue that is completely separate and freeform from the rest of the shoe. It almost feels like this could be its own shoe without the straps. The tongue is made of fabric similar to what the toe box is made out of, I think, and there's this patch on the back of the tongue that reads Fear of God upside down. The inner lining of the shoe has this super soft feel that I haven't really got from any fabric on a shoe recently or at all. It's well padded, it feels great on foot, no complaints there. Then we have this fabric strip going from the heel of the shoe all over to the top to the beginning of the toe box. Moving on to the midsole, we have what I think personally is a slightly uninteresting midsole that's just flat and smooth with minimal midsole detail. Save for the Nike Air text on the heel, the random assortment of numbers on the side that are Jerry's grandfather's service numbers from the military or something like that. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that one. We have this utterly unique and somewhat confusing outsole pattern that utilizes the narrowest square blocks for traction. I just don't know how this could grip anything, but I'm not a traction expert. Finally, we have the double stack Zoom Air unit exposed through this translucent blue block around the heel of the shoe for ultimate comfort. Now, when it comes to sizing, I strongly recommend going true to size. I bought these in half a size down from my true to size only because that's all I could find locally for a good price. And I wasn't about ready to pay shipping and customs buying from StockX because then it just gets too expensive, and they clearly fit, but it's not the most comfortable fit. The length is perfect, the material is soft and plush, so there's enough give for my foot to fit into the shoe, but I constantly feel a little bit of hugging around the sides of my foot, and if you have narrow feet, you could potentially go half a size down, but if you're a wide foot like me, true to size is truly the way to go, or if you just have regular feet and not especially narrow feet, I still would recommend going true to size. These shoes fit decently snug, and with the elastic straps, you're always good to go true to size because you can always fasten them to make them tighter. They have a great lockdown feel regardless. Now, getting down to the nitty gritty and trying to determine whether Jerry's Nike Fog collaborations have really stood the test of time, we have to start at the beginning. This shoe in some ways is an homage to the original Air Raid that I consider really ugly. I mean, even though I love the concept of straps, the Air Raid is definitely something I wouldn't wear if it came back and re-released. The straps are cool, but the rest of the shoes gotta go. Jerry Lorenzo, on the other hand, is a world-renowned designer and of course had 2 previous shoes with Nike before this one, 3 counting the Skylon, 4 counting the Fog Mocs, but who's really counting those? The 2 main shoes being the Fear of God 1s and the Fear of God shoot-arounds. Both have cemented their name in the Nike and Fear of God collaborative legacy in my eyes. The Fear of God 1 was widely acclaimed, the shoot-arounds not as much, but they're still going for great prices, there's still demand for them. I personally like them better in some regards to the Fear of God 1s, but that's besides the point. The point is, you can't really find anything on the market quite like the Fog 1s or the Fog shoot-arounds. They're truly unique shoes that have found their way into the hands of many sneakerheads and collectors. The Fear of God Raid is probably a little more derivative than those 2 sneakers, but still unique in its own sense. Is it a good or bad thing though? It might be because it's not Jerry's first shoe with Nike, so it doesn't hold the cachet the first 2 shoes hold of being the OGs, but it's his first low-top offering that's this unique. The Skylon I don't consider unique enough to qualify as potentially being its own silhouette. The Fog Moc is unique enough, but let's just forget that happened. So why does this pair not hold the same acclaim as the other 2 main pairs? I mean, it's a new refreshing silhouette, it's essentially a low-top version of the Fear of God 1s to a certain extent, it looks great, it's comfortable. What's the deal? Honestly, I think it might have to do with this somewhat uninteresting midsole, and the fact that although I can wear these with shorts, they don't look particularly good with shorts, at least not to me. And it's the summer. You know when you look at something and there's just something jarring about it, but you can't pinpoint what it is? I initially felt that about these shoes, which is weird because I really like these. I think they're incredible on feet. And I'm one of those people, I'll know if I like something as soon as I see it or a little bit after. I did not like these shoes at all when I first saw them, and it was 100% because of that narrow, flat midsole that Jerry loves so much. His high top Fear of God shoes mirrored a similar aesthetic. These, however, eventually grew on me because my adoration for the rest of the features of the shoe overshadowed my mild aversion to the midsole. So do the Fear of God Raids stand the test of time? Have they aged better than everyone using the Face app to look older? Boy, is that going to be a dated reference. Well, my verdict is, it's too early to tell, but I'm leaning towards yes. I think over time these sneakers will appreciate. Jerry has proved his chops in the design department, and while everyone's basking in the now and the resale prices of these are pretty decent, that doesn't mean that the design isn't timeless, and these will surely be even more appreciated in the near future. It's a shoe that's unique, has its own design language, a very timeless color palette. I mean, black and gray is not my favorite, but it just seems to work with all of Jerry's Nike designs. Do you guys agree with my assessment of the Fear of God Raids? Are they legendary or are they a flash in the pan? Let me know in the comments. Catch you later. Picsoleated has the Fear of God.